All righty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard. First day of May. Hard to believe, but it's true. We are in the middle of the year. Truly unbelievable. It's great to have you aboard, and what a weekend in sports we had. We got so much to get to. First and foremost, I want to start with some baseball. I've been sort of obsessed with the NBA playoffs for good reason. We'll talk plenty about that as the show goes on, but I've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit with baseball. So I kind of spent a little time, particularly with the Yankees, of kind of taking a look and seeing where they're at. And I got to tell you, it's not a pretty sight. Now, I'm not a Yankee fan. Everyone knows I'm a Met fan, but let's just be real about it. And we'll get to some Mets, well, sort of Mets news. Jacob deGrom with his latest injury. We'll talk about that in a minute too. But I want to start with the Yankees. That AL East is up for grabs. That's anyone's division. We know the Rays got off to the fast start, and the truth is they're probably going to win the division. But second place and beyond really is anyone's guess. And you know what? The Rays aren't like 10 games up either, right? So like they could still lose it, but I would be surprised. But that division is up for grabs. And right now, as we sit today, the Yankees are in last place. Now they're basically tied for last with Boston. They're both a game over 500. So everyone in that division is over 500, including the Yankees. They're 15 and 14. Sox are the same thing. Tampa Bay is 23 and 6. They're 3.5 up on Baltimore of all teams. Yeah, Baltimore. But I gotta tell you, that relative closeness to competitiveness is, I think, fool's gold. Yeah, they're a game over 500, but they're 8 games back of first, and they may as well be 15 back with the way they're playing. Let me hit you with some numbers. These numbers are, I think, pretty sobering if you're a Yankee fan. So I've been saying for years now that the Yankees are not a really good team. They're a flawed team. They're a home run dependent team, and they've become more so, and they've become more less powerful. Like their power is really confined into 2 guys. It's basically Judge and when he's healthy, Stanton, and that's kind of it. And they're both out right now. Judge went out Thursday with the injury. And honestly, since then, the Yankees have been awful. They've lost 3 straight to Texas. This isn't exactly, a great baseball team. The Rangers, in case you're wondering, are, well, they're 17 and 11. So they're good, but they're the Rangers still. I'm still not like, look, I'm slow to accept when a perennial loser suddenly has a winning record. I'm slow to accept its validity. So I still feel bad. I still feel like I got beat by someone I shouldn't get beaten by when I lose to a team like that in the fashion the Yankees lost. They lost 3 straight games. They got absolutely killed the other night. I mean, really killed. What was it, like 15-2 or something like that? I mean, it was something horrendous like that. And I think they scored 4 runs in 3 games. They won the first game of the series, which I believe was the game where Judge got hurt. That was Thursday. Yep. So that's the game he got hurt. He's got that hip injury. Latest report is that he's likely to miss the DL, IL, whatever the hell you call it, NL, AL, DL, IL. What the hell? He's likely to not be out for too long. All right. They won that game 4-2. But then after he went out of the lineup, they promptly got swept the remaining 3 games. 5-2 on Friday, 2-0 on Saturday, and 15-2 yesterday. They start a home series with the Cleveland Indians today. I am not impressed with this team at all. They are terrible. And I have to tell you, I don't see it getting better. I mean, this team really is Judge, Cole, when healthy, Stanton, couple of good relievers. That's kind of it. Volpe has a little, juice, a little excitement. But I'm telling you, the rest of this lineup doesn't impress me. And here are the numbers I was talking about. These are bad. So as of right now, a month or so into the season, the Yankees are 23rd in runs scored, 27th in hits, 26th in on base percentage, 22nd in slugging, middle of the pack, 15th in strikeouts. In other words, they've struck out the 15th most times, and 19th in base on balls. That's not good. And they have a deceptive statistic with team ERA. They are, I think, 10th in Major League Baseball in ERA. But it's a little deceptive because Garrett Cole is pitching out of his mind. He's got like a 1.11 ERA or something like that. When you remove Cole, their starting rotation, guys who have started 5 or more games, and to this point, there's one thing that's gone right. They basically had the same guys start all the games. There's 5 or 6 of them that have started 5 or 6 each. When you take Cole out of that group, among their remaining starters, they have a cumulative 5.71 earned run average, less Garrett Cole. Guys, this team is bad. You know what these numbers tell me? They tell me Judge is all they got. The last 3 games show me that. They tell me Garrett Cole is all they got in the starting rotation. Their bullpen is pretty good. It maybe can hold a lead if it gets one. But this is not a good or deep team. This is an expensive team, but it's not a good team. Gleyber Torres has not lived up to the billing. Anthony Rizzo is a solid player. He's nothing special. DJ LeMahieu seems to be aging before our eyes. This isn't a good team. Aaron Hicks has never been reliable. I've been saying all year, what are you scared of? Besides Judge and Stanton, what are you afraid of? I mean, that's why it's so important that Stanton plays. The only way for this lineup to even have a chance at working is for the other guys to play good enough in front of Judge and Stanton to get on base some, and for Stanton to be behind Judge so you have Judge having a chance at getting some RBIs because you can't just take Stanton for granted. I mean, if Stanton's not healthy, there's no reason to throw to Judge. And if Judge isn't healthy, you got no shot. Stanton or no Stanton. Right now, they're both not healthy, so you really have no chance. But this is a bad roster. I think this roster is fatally flawed. And I think the Yankees need to do something they haven't done in several decades. I think they really need to rebuild. And not only do I think they need to rebuild, I think they need to reimagine how they do that building. That's maybe the bigger problem. For all their talk about analytics and all this other stuff, they're not strong in the analytic departments. You know, what's one of the ultimate analytical offensive numbers? On base percentage. They're 26th. What's one of the highest rated analytical pitching numbers? Strikeouts. Well, they're 15th. Their pitching staff, I mean. Like where is the benefit? Where are they getting this? Their run scored is the ultimate analytic stat. It's the ultimate metric that underpins all of the advanced metrics in terms of its value and weighted value. Well, they're 23rd. So even with their approach, where is it getting them? Now, you could say, well, it's early, Gary. It's 1 month. And yeah, I understand that. Look, things are going to change. I do understand that. But the bottom line is this. The Yankees are not a good baseball team. That's the bottom line. The Yankees are not a good baseball team. Running through those numbers again, they're 23rd in runs scored, 27th in hits, 26th in on-base percentage, 22nd in slugging, 15th in strikeouts, 19th in walks. And outside of Garrett Cole, their starting rotation has an ERA of 5.71. That's not good. And where the question is, you say it's early, and fine, it is. But where is that going to get better? Where do you see that really improving? Is Stanton suddenly going to be healthy all the time? do you expect, I guess, Gleyber Torres, you would want him to start hitting better, maybe DJ LeMahieu, and they all probably will play better for stretches. I have no doubt about that. At least I don't have too much doubt. I am beginning to wonder if LeMahieu is maybe just getting old and maybe Torres just isn't as good as we thought he was. I am beginning to think that. But ultimately, where do you see this really improving? Is Domingo Germán going to be the guy for you? Is he going to help bring down that 5.71 non-Cole team ERA? Starting ERA? Is he going to do that? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I think he's an okay pitcher. But, like, where are you getting the improvement from? I guess Nestor Cortez could be better. He's probably the most likely candidate to improve. He's got a 4.91 ERA over his 6 starts. Germán's is at 5.54, and Clark Schmidt is at 6.84. I mean, they're just getting teed off on. Johnny Brito is at 5.56. Those are your starters. So there's been, outside of Cole, 4 guys. You have 4 guys outside of Cole who have started 5 or more games. It's bad news, fellas. Bad news. If you're a Yankee fan, I think you're in for a pretty frustrating year. I really do. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got the question of the day next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
New Jersey umpires are striking back. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
Would you like to hear better for as little as 10 cents a day? Now you can with the all-new Audion hearing aids. The average hearing aid lasts about 3 years. Ours, at only $99 a pair, means you're paying as little as 10 cents a day to hear better. And to make things even better, we'll give you a 45-day money-back guarantee. Skip the doctor and get hearing aids delivered straight to your door. We've eliminated all the middlemen to offer you a factory direct price of only $99 a pair. Join over 300,000 people just like you who took advantage of our 45-day trial offer. Now you can hear better too for just 10 cents a day. Call now and order your $99 pair of Audion hearing aids with a 45-day money-back guarantee. Plus, get free 3 to 5 day shipping.
800-226-1471. 800-226-1471. That's 800-226-1471.
A small town in New Jersey has introduced a new policy to address unruly spectator behavior. If fans fight with umpires during a game, they will have to volunteer their time to umpire 3 games before they are allowed back as a spectator. Deptford Township Little League president Don Butsufi told the local ABC affiliate, "The main purpose is for spectators to see that the job isn't easy." Butsufi also noted that a certified umpire will be present during spectators' volunteer time to ensure that they make the correct calls. Question: would you vote for or against a similar policy in your hometown?
Oh, this is wonderful. It's just crazy. I honestly, I just think this is perfect. Like, I've been saying this for years. People need to stop giving the refs, the umpires, the officials the business. They just have to stop. And especially on the little league minor level like this, it's destructive and corrosive to communities. But the problem is, this is learned behavior. It's inferred behavior. It's behavior that in some way is seeded by the consistent and persistent and even commercialized analytics and analysis and critiquing and constant second guessing of officials on all levels. I mean, this is in part due to constant frame by frame replay and people saying, "Oh, I don't know, that's not a foul. Did he do this? You can't miss that one." You know, all those things that we hear on a daily basis across live games, across sports talk radio, across social media, across sports television, all those places. It is so inundated the culture. It's no different than hearing someone talking about the weather if you're a sports fan. You hear this that frequently. So it just becomes allowable to do that whenever you encounter a referee, an umpire, an official, any place. And you have to be reminded that these people don't have to be here. Yes, they get paid, but they can make similar money doing other things in most cases, and in a lot of cases, much better money. So they don't really need to be there. Right? On some level, they want to be there. And you're making their lives unnecessarily miserable. Even if they get a call wrong or they get a bunch of calls wrong. So what? So what? It's just part of the game. It happens. Deal with it. Move on. Leave these people alone. I love this rule because it puts some teeth behind what I'm saying. It makes the perpetrator have to make a decision. It makes them have to understand something. So they get to either continue to be a jerk and then have to umpire 3 games themselves before they can come back and be a jerk again, and then if they continue, repeat the process, or they don't want to do the umpiring because, well, it's not a great job, and in their case, they'd be volunteering, so they just shut up. And they just leave the guys alone. That's exactly what should be done. I love this. Good job by that township in New Jersey. I would like to see this picked up in every little league all the way around. I really would. I think this is absolutely fantastic. Truly fantastic. It really is. I mean, this is this is good stuff. And you know, the other thing about it is it makes people aware of the problem. See, because it's so commonplace to be critical of officials, almost like you're critiquing non-living organisms. I think a lot of people who do it don't really realize the problem that they are contributing to and perpetuating, helping perpetuate. I don't think they realize it. And as a result, they don't feel like they're doing anything wrong because they're just not aware of it. It's like an invisible sin. So now this legislation or edict or whatever you want to call it in this town in Jersey, it is like shining the lights on the scurrying rats, right? It's like turning the lights on in the room because what it's doing is it's making people aware for the first time. Oh, I guess this is a problem because they wouldn't pass something like this. It's so crazy if it weren't. So in addition to giving putting real repercussions in place for engaging in this behavior, it's also making people aware of just how bad of a behavior and how much of a problem it really is. Because where we're really seeing this is in availability of officials across sports. There's just not a lot of it anymore. And there's a major epidemic across the United States of available sports officials for youth and high school games. So there you go. So this is really, really good. I like this a lot. I really do. All right. Well, that will do it for our question of the day. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. Coming up next, we're going to talk some NBA playoffs. And that is starting with the New York Knicks and why there is one guy they really, really need. And I've been saying it all year if they're going to beat the Miami Heat. That's next on the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need. It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Alrighty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, and if there's any doubt that the New York Knicks need Julius Randle, let that doubt be cast aside now. I've been saying all year, he's their best, most important player. Jalen Brunson is awesome. He's better than I thought he was going to be. But he is not the number one guy on this team, nor is Randle. They are a tandem, a true tandem. Just like Stockton and Malone, neither was the number one. Neither of these guys is the number one player. Now, in this case, it's not a perfect analogy because they're both scorers. They're both score first guys. But one is not better than the other. They're perfect complements to one another. And for the Knicks to win this series and dare of dreaming beyond, they absolutely need a healthy and productive Julius Randle to do it. There's no two ways about it. RJ Barrett's been awesome. I think he had 26 points in the loss to Miami yesterday. But they struggle to get to 105 or so with the three of them. Without Randle, it's no wonder they won a series averaging under 100 points in 2023. It's a miracle they pulled that off. But without him in the lineup, it's not a big surprise they struggle to score. They need his offense. They don't have the type of roster that can go find that elsewhere. They're not the Denver Nuggets. They're not the Boston Celtics. They're not the Golden State Warriors. They're not the Kings. They don't have other guys to go to. If you take out one of those three, Brunson, Randle, or Barrett, it has a disproportionate effect on the Knicks than it would on a team that was deeper in offensive weapons. And the Knicks aren't the only team like this. You could say the same thing about, I think you're going to see Philadelphia really struggle to score without Embiid, although they have more weapons, I believe, than the Knicks. I think they have 4, while the Knicks have 3. So they have one more weapon. So it'll be a little bit better. But there's a lot of teams like this. Look, if you take Anthony Davis off the Lakers or LeBron James off the Lakers, it has a huge effect. I mean, no team is unaffected by losing one of their 2 best players. But I think the Knicks have really no margin of error in terms of where they can go and get their offense if one of those 3 guys isn't healthy and productive. That's where the Knicks, I think, are in a tighter spot than some other teams left in the playoffs, because where else are you going to get those points? You know, Mitchell Robinson sometimes has decent scoring games, but it's always off of offensive rebounds, putbacks, transition, that kind of thing. You're not going to run plays for him. You haven't played Derrick Rose meaningful minutes in months, so you can't expect it from him. Grimes has kind of fallen out of favor and had dealing with some injuries. Quigley's been awful. That would be the guy, right? If there was one guy that you would think has shown at times the ability maybe to kind of fill that void, it's Emmanuel Quigley. But he's been terrible. I mean, I don't even know what his numbers have been in the playoffs, but I don't think I can remember one game this whole postseason where I was like, wow, Quigley was good. I don't think I've said that this entire postseason. Like, think about it. I don't think I've said that all postseason. When was the last time you thought Emmanuel Quigley, man, he had a good game? It's been a long time. It really has. So I think the Knicks need Julius Randle badly, badly. And I know he's a popular guy to kind of diss on, especially among Knicks fans, which I really don't understand. But that's exactly where we're at. That's what's happening. By the way, Quickly has played in 6 playoff games so far, and he has averaged a grand total of 9 points. That's not good. People say, well, what about Obi Toppin? Maybe a little bit, but he's only averaged 9 points. Josh Hart has averaged 11. I don't know where you're going to get it from. Randall averaging 14 because of those injuries and some bad games. That's where you get the improvement, right? That's where you're going to have to get the improvement. For the record, during the regular season, Emmanuel Quickly was a much better player. He averaged 14.9. You talk about a guy who just not ready for the sunshine, not ready for the show. This is an example of that. The guy's terrible. I mean, he's been absolutely unplayable for the entire playoffs, really. Yeah, they need to get Randall back. I don't know what the status of Randall is. His ankle has obviously been bothering him. He kind of looked like he re-aggravated it. There's no two ways about it. They need him back, and he's out for game 1. Well, he was out for game 1. We know that he didn't play the other night, and they lost. We'll see if he plays in game 2. They really, really need him. I can tell you that right now, with no uncertain terms. They need him desperately. And if anyone's going to step up in his wake, it has to be Quickly. He at least has shown the capability of being able to do it, but he hasn't done it in the playoffs. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. We got the broader NBA playoffs. Huge game last night for Steph Curry, setting up a major nostalgic matchup in the second round. The Lakers and Warriors will break it down next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All righty, we are back here on the Gary Ayd Show. It's great to have you aboard and talking some NBA basketball. Steph Curry, well, there's no other way to put it. He went nuts last night. 50 points and powered his team to the Western Conference second round. And where is he going? Who is he going to see? Oh, just a familiar face. We've seen this movie once before. By the name of LeBron James. But instead of meeting up in the finals, now we're meeting up in the second round because both teams were lower seeds and both teams are in the West. This is something that came from this. There's been a handful of upsets in the NBA and even the NHL playoffs. Boston, I believe, lost last night. And they were the number one seed and a historic regular season team. Of course, we know the Bucks got ousted by the Heat. The Kings just lost as 2 seed to the Warriors, as the 3 seed rather, to the Warriors 6 seed. Here's the thing. There's been some people who have gone out and said the NBA has a regular season problem. The regular season doesn't matter. It makes no difference. Look at the way this is like, okay. Well, before we go down that rabbit hole, let me ask a question. How many times, if you're being honest, how many times have you heard, particularly with regard to the NBA, someone say something to the effect of, oh, the NBA is so predictable. That's why I don't watch it. There's no point. The best teams always win. The high seeds always win. You know who's going to be in the finals every year. How many times have you heard that? I know I've heard it countless times. And by the way, it's not always far off. Yes, the NBA is more predictable than other sports. There is a higher threshold, a higher likelihood of the top seeds making it, the best teams really being the best teams because they usually have the best players and the best players usually win in the NBA. Yes, that's all true. Well, then you can't have it both ways. You can't then turn around and say, well, your regular season doesn't matter. These games don't matter. It doesn't matter what your record is. You can win it when it comes to playoffs. You can win no matter what. You can't have it both ways. Now, if you want to turn the argument around, the original argument, and say the regular season doesn't matter because we know going in who's going to be the best because the NBA is a league where the best players usually have, a significant edge. You can try to make that argument. That one doesn't hold as much weight as the initial rendition of that top-heavy argument, but it makes a little more sense. It's less hypocritical than this idea that because lower seeds actually won in significant numbers this time around, for the first time really, if not ever, certainly in a long while, now all of a sudden the regular season doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what your record is. It doesn't matter if you're a high seed. You can win anyway. Well, not if you believe, which is more true, that higher seeds generally do win in the NBA. I mean, there's a reason it has by far the lowest instance of an 8 seed beating a 1. If my knowledge is complete, I believe this example of the Bucks losing to the Heat is just the 4th such example of a 1 losing to an 8 in NBA playoff history in almost 80 years. I'm pretty sure it's that one. The Knicks beat, I think, ironically enough, the Heat in 99 when they went to the finals as an 8 seed. The Warriors beat, I believe it was the Mavericks in 2007 with Baron Davis as an 8 seed. And the Nuggets beat the Sonics in, I think it was 94 as an 8 seed. As far as I know, those are the only 4 examples. And I don't know off the top of my head examples of 2 versus 7s, 3 versus 6s. I get the sense that a 3 versus 6 is not that big of a deal, though. I'm thinking the 2 versus 7 is not a huge thing either. But the 3, 6, and 4, 5 matchup, that's the other thing. You started seeing posts about this after the Warriors beat the Kings. Well, it's a 3-6 matchup. This isn't a 1-8. This isn't, and it's not your normal 6 seed, right? This is a fading dynasty that's trying to push through one last stand. I don't see it as anything more than that. So the question becomes, which way do you want it? What do you want from the NBA? Do you want playoff parity and unpredictability? And do you want that to be the norm? Be hard to achieve. I'll tell you why in a second. But if you make that the norm, you do devalue the regular season some. If that becomes the norm, it's not the norm. This is a weird playoffs. Definitely. A 6 beat a 3. That's not too strange. A 1 beat an 8. That's very strange. Okay, fine. A 7 beat a 2. The Lakers beat the Grizzlies. I get it. Okay, there's some low seeds in the playoffs this year. How many years have there been a bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s in the NBA playoffs deep into the playoffs? So let's not get crazy. Now, I'll explain to you why devaluing the regular season more would happen if you were to make this the norm. Well, that's pretty obvious. There'd be no reason to, compete for a higher seed if you regularly believed you can win from a lower seed. Now, why that's going to be hard, this is what I really wanted to dive into, is unlike other sports, it would be very hard to legislate out the immense impact that a single great player has on any game or series. And Curry's game last night's the perfect example of that. He's the best player on the court, and consequently, his team has an advantage. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, one of them was the best player on the court in the Memphis series. His team has an advantage. So it's hard to legislate that out. And the thing is, if you try to do that, it's going to just mess with the fabric of the game. Now, these examples, this is why this is a weird year. The best players normally are on teams with better records than Curry's Warriors had and LeBron's Lakers had this year. That wasn't the case this year. But normally that would be the case. I mean, Jokic is the best player, for example, in that Denver and Phoenix series. His team has the number 1 seed. Joel Embiid is going to be, when healthy, the best player in his series. They have they have the higher seed in their they have the lower seed in their matchup actually against Boston. So it's a weird playoff this year. It is. But I don't think it means the regular season is completely invalid or in any way diminished. You know what diminishes the regular season is load management. Not allowing guys to play. Not having guys play on a nightly basis. The value of the regular season is in being able to see your favorite players, the best players, night after night for months at a time. You start making that not the reality, that more so than occasionally having a year where lower seeds win, does much more to mess with the value and purpose of the regular season than any type of competitive anomaly in the playoffs this year. This idea that this is the problem with ring culture. This idea that if you don't win the ring, the whole thing wasn't worthwhile is stupid. There's an old saying in life that life isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, you apply that to sports, apply that to the NBA. The regular season and even the playoffs is the journey. The championship is the ultimate desired destination, but we don't all get to retire to Beverly Hills. We don't all get to the ultimate final destination in life, right? That doesn't mean our life wasn't fulfilling, wasn't worth living, it wasn't enjoyable, it wasn't great, it wasn't exactly what we wanted. That could all still be true, and you not, quote, make it to the ultimate retirement spot, right? If you don't retire a millionaire or a billionaire, does that mean your life wasn't worth living? Of course not. Does that even mean that your life didn't go pretty much how you would want it to go looking back on it? Yeah, no, it doesn't mean that at all. Now, yes, players want to win championships, but going through, making memories, making long-term friends, creating generational wealth, becoming well known, gaining access to other aspects of society, gaining opportunities off the court, uh, creating a legacy of sustained excellence. All of these things are great accomplishments, each one unto themselves, let alone in totality. I'm supposed to just throw that away and somehow marginalize it because they didn't happen to win the final series of the year. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I don't buy that Charles Barkley is any less of a player than, say, Kevin Garnett because Garnett happened to win one title. I don't think Tim Duncan is necessarily a better player than Karl Malone or Elvin Hayes because he happened to win some titles. Winning titles is a lot of luck. It really is. And if we're going to start measuring and making the end all and be all, not start, we've been doing it for a long time, making the end all and be all tied to something as out of one's control, particularly out of any individual's control, as happening to win a title, we're going to have a miserable, miserable existence. And I'm not for that. I love regular season sports. I love regular season NBA in particular. And I enjoy the journey. I like watching my favorite players in the middle of the year. I don't mind watching, let's say, Joel Embiid take on Detroit. I don't mind it at all. Like, I enjoy watching his abilities. I don't care who he's playing or what the stakes of the game are. Sure, a playoff game is going to have a little more suspense, a little more drama. It's more enjoyable. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's not like the former example is completely irrelevant or not worth watching or not worth participating in. I don't feel that way at all. I really don't. So anyway, it's good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We got hour 2 around the corner. Special guest. Haven't seen him in a while. Look forward to this. Hour 2's next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Oh, yeah. Hour 2. The surprise is up. Welcome back. Here he is. The one and only. Rich Anselmo is with us. What's up, man? How you doing? Awesome. It's good to have you back. Really is.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Yeah, so
It is very good to be here.
why don't you give us, before we dive into the top 5, why don't you give the audience just a quick summary of what the hell's been going on?
Well, I did something really stupid. And I injured a vocal cord. Which left me unable to talk, which drove me crazy and made a bunch of other people happy.
Yeah, it's maybe the worst muscle to injure in our particular profession.
Yes.
So, oh well, it's good to have you back. So, all right, well, let's not waste any time. Let's hit the top 5. Haven't done this in a while. Not the same without you. So
This is the moment
like I'm talking to myself.
waiting for. It's time
Or worse than that, I actually feel like I'm arguing with myself because I set the question and then I answer it. No, it's a bad look. All right, so what do we got today?
We did this in November, 1 month through the NBA season. Give me your top 5 1-month baseball overreactions and odd predictions.
Overreactions and odd predictions. All right. Well, overreaction.
Oh no! Wait a minute! I am sorry.
We got that for later.
Yes.
Yeah, that's its own.
yes.
I was gonna say I got that all earmarked for later in the show.
Oh, what is wrong with me here?
Did you damage some brain muscles too in that accident? What's going on?
Many years ago.
Okay. That's an old hat.
Many years ago, and many bottles of Yukon Jack ago. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, and what did we?
Well, you said you had a list. I was gonna.
You had one, and then I said my list was an all-week thing that
You did.
only went 4 days,
Okay.
and you said you had one to fill in.
Yeah, I got one for today. Okay. So here's what I had. I wanted to know I'm big on this whole like old versus new, retired players versus current players. And
Oh yes.
I think there's a lot of blame to go around in both directions. So I was going to do the top 5 things old players get wrong about modern players. And then I was going to do later in the week the reverse. So,
Well, do it tomorrow.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. And like for me, I think the biggest one by far is this idea that the NBA players don't play defense today. That is nonsense. You know how hard it is to guard any of these guys? You have any comprehension of the fact that at any given time, most teams have 3 or 4 guys, sometimes 5 on the court that can win most matchups one-on-one. That's probably always been the case throughout NBA history. These are the best players in the world for a reason. But what's different now is usually until about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there was an Oakley, a Shaq. Well, he was a great player, of course. But a Travis Knight. There was someone on the court who you could comfortably double off of, and as long as you didn't leave them under the basket for a wide open dunk, they weren't much of a threat. So it was a lot easier to contain offenses because the spacing was nowhere near as good. The hardest thing to do in defense in the NBA, as you know, Rich, is to guard in space. The hardest thing to do.
Yes.
Well, there's nothing but space now because everyone on the court for both teams, for the most part, can shoot. At a very minimum, every team has 4 guys on the court at any time that are threats.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
At a bare minimum. Yeah, most teams still have maybe more half the teams or so will have a Kevon Looney type who's there for rebounding and screens and things like that. Alley-oops. You know, they'll have a Clint Capella. But it's a very specialized role. Everyone else is going to be a shooter. So
right.
It's just hard to guard people. Like it's just everyone's out in space. Everyone's a threat. Double teams are becoming less and less effective because of that fact. And because of the fact that, the guys that you're doubling onto are generally great passers now. I mean, how many forwards do we have now that are elite passers? I mean, Jokic and Embiid and LeBron, and Draymond Green. I mean, you're not going to double Draymond Green's scoring. In fact, you want him to shoot, but that's besides the point. The point is,
I think hard. You can throw Kevon Looney in that list.
Yeah, you're not going to double.
You're not going to double him, but he's a great passer.
He's a great passer. So it's just hard. So for me, that's by far the number one thing that, and I'm not even talking just old players. I hear this all the time with older fans and all these groups. It's like, do you have any idea how hard it is to guard people when you have to do it by yourself in space and then still have to deal with screens and switches and all that other stuff? I mean, it's just harder to do than it used to be.
It is.
Not because the players are necessarily better. That's one of the other ones on the other side that I disagree with. I don't think the players are intrinsically better or worse in any era. But I think the way that players are deployed in this one particular skill of shooting is more universally developed. It's not that the players are better. It's that this one particular skill is universally developed and practiced habitually by everyone, regardless of position. That didn't used to be the case. You coached a long time. How often did you have your 6'10" guys practicing threes in the mid-90s? Probably never.
You never did.
Right.
You don't really have it as much now, but they just do it themselves.
Right. I mean, look at Brook Lopez. Reinvented himself as a three-point shooter a number of years ago.
Yes.
He always had a soft touch around the rim and mid-range, but he developed that.
Right.
So anyway, that's definitely number one. Number two, among the things that I think old players and fans get wrong about the modern game is this idea around load management. Certainly it's a major problem, but I think oftentimes people aren't aware of the actual source of this problem. I think there are a couple of players who probably cause their own load management. I think Anthony Davis is probably one. I think Kawhi Leonard's another. But I think more than not, this is a problem caused by the confluence of agents and owners and analytics. I think those three things drive this methodology more than the players themselves do. But a lot of people don't realize this. Players have very little say in when they play or don't play based on medical anything. They're like the least important person in the decision process in most cases, which is sort of a double-edged sword. I mean, on one hand, you're protecting the player from themselves. On the other hand, you're kind of stripping them of their own solvency over their own body, which is, another discussion. Right. But be that as it may, that's just the fact. I mean, an owner that's paying a guy $45 million in a year in a culture of win the championship or else, take Steph Curry on the Warriors, for example. I'm not going to want to play him, against Detroit in February. And that logic, while understandable, is not really derived from the players. So I think the players get the blame and the brunt of it because it's them not playing. And of course they're the product. But if you really understand the macro business of the NBA and where the points of influence are, it's really not the players making these decisions in most cases.
And it's really not analytics either.
Yeah.
Because Popovich did this long before analytics were that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think the analytics just kind of they're used to justify the logic.
Now, and this whole thing for me leads to another point. I get tired of and I see people saying all the time, well, Kawhi Leonard needs to play. He's just soft. Does anyone know the injury he played with in game 2?
Mm-hmm.
Most people would have said.
I wonder how much of him playing is just him feeling guilty about the fact that he hasn't played in the past when he could have.
A lot of times he couldn't have. And a lot of times the Clippers didn't let him.
Well, that's the bigger thing, right? That was my point, is a lot of times this is not up to them. That was my point.
And you get a lot of these older players calling these guys soft. Well, we played 82.
Now, I do think this sort of turns on its head a little bit. This is a double-edged sword, because one of my points that I'll, rehash again tomorrow, but I kind of have to bring up now in this conversation, is the reverse of this coin. A lot of young players, current players, current front office types, current league personnel, and current league media will tell you that, the training is this much better, the science is advanced this much, the players are more skilled, they're bigger, faster, stronger. Well, if any of that's true, why can't they play 82? I think you can very easily make that counter argument. If it's so much better, why was Jordan at age 38 able to play 82 games? Why did John Stockton, who supposedly wasn't athletic, why did he miss 10 games in 18 years? Why is it that a pitcher in baseball, Bob Feller, who probably, pre-gamed with vodka, could throw 340 innings and not sneeze, and Jacob deGrom can't stay on the field for 340 minutes for the whole year? Why is that?
That's what I'm missing today, Gary. I didn't pregame with vodka.
See? You know what I mean?
A lot of that is in, and don't want to just attack the younger players, but some of their makeup. And John Morant's even called teammates out on that. We don't need a shorter season. Mm-hmm. Kevon Looney played 82 again this year.
Yep.
Some of it's luck.
Yes.
And some of it is management not wanting to overtax very large investments. Mm-hmm. Which wasn't the case when Jordan was playing.
It's very
true. Wilt, who they just beat into the ground.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
averaged more than 48 minutes a night.
It's so insane. I just got done listening to an audio book about his life. He's just what a legend, just an absolute legend. By the way, speaking of legends, this is just a quick little besides the point. I thought this was great. All throughout this series with the Grizzlies, mostly Brooks talking trash. LeBron took the high road. And after he has them beaten, he goes on Twitter and says, "Yeah, if you see me in the woods fighting a bear, help the bear." That's an awesome, like proverbial middle finger on the way out the door. I love it.
Another aside to that, Dylan Brooks got fined $25K for refusing to face the media in 3 losses.
Yes.
If you're going to be the one to use your big mouth, back it up after the game, win or lose.
Back it up. That's the thing is like, it's one thing if like Klay Thompson and the Warriors very quietly and confidently said, "We'll be ready to go like the champions we are in game 7." And they did it. So, and no one was mad when they said that going into the game or even really took much notice of it because they have the track record to make statements like that. This guy's barely a starter. And he's one of those few guys that, if I'm double teaming Ja Morant, I have no problem leaving this guy alone. Not worried about him at all.
Right.
I like I'm going to leave him much more freely than I'm going to leave anyone else on their team.
Oh yeah, you're not going to leave Bane open.
No, or even Jackson for that matter. But I'll leave this guy open. All right, so going through the rest of these, I think the other 3, I'll just rattle them off real quick. For me, of things that older players get wrong about younger guys. I think that they assume this is more from the fans, less so the media, but I assume I get the sense that they will often think that players don't play hard because of the money they make. Well, once you have to understand something, anyone that's ever gotten a significant raise, I experienced this almost a year ago. I got a new job outside of Cave Talk Radio about a year ago, and it about doubled my earnings. And after the first couple of months, you settle into your new routine, your new normal. And now I don't make $40 million a year or even a fraction of that. But my suspicion is that human behavior is consistent on scale and downscale. And that if you were a rookie, let's say 3 years ago, let's say you're Ja Morant and you're going into a huge new contract, making 30, 40 million or so a year. As a rookie, you were making, let's say on your rookie contract, 8 million a year or 10 million or 7 million, something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something like that. You probably doubled or tripled your earnings, at least doubled, probably tripled, maybe even a little bit more. After you've been receiving those game checks for 2-3 months, you're probably going to settle into your routines. And the reason I go through all this is because people don't think about, I don't believe, what they make in their vocation relative to, okay, now I'm making this, I can relax, or I'm only making this, I have to step it up. They might think I need to prove myself so I can make more. But then when you're making more, there is an absolute, if you're a normal person, there's an absolute weight of responsibility that weighs on you of, I have to earn this. I have to make sure that I show they didn't make a mistake. I have to make sure that I'm worthy of this. There's no way these guys don't feel that. There's no way. I don't think. Now, every once in a while, you get a guy who is like that. I mean, I think Carmelo Anthony had some of that in him. I think he was a mercenary. I think he was a bottom line, I want to make every dollar I can make in my career type of guy. I think there's other players who are like that. I think Ben Simmons comes to mind. But for the most part, I think most guys feel an obligation to earn what they've been given, to justify what they've been given. Or, you're truly great guys like LeBron and Curry and guys like that. They're just so damn good. They're so damn great that it doesn't matter what they think about their contract.
Right.
Just them being out there, they're better than everyone else.
True.
So those are some of the things I think are interesting.
To go back to the point you said about not playing defense.
Yeah.
Gary Payton was a great defensive guard.
Yes.
Would he have been as good had he not had hand checking available to him?
No, and furthermore, think of how many guys he went against who he could aggressively play up on or play back off of. He had different tactics he could use because not every point guard was a shooting threat. I mean, take a guy like, I'll give you a good one. And this is a guy that made a couple all-star teams, was probably, besides Peyton himself, the next best defensive point guard of the 90s. Take a guy like Mookie Blaylock, a really good player. Did I have to make sure I stayed attached to him and close out on him if they ran a high screen and roll? Was I gonna hedge it, or could I just play under it because I'm not too worried about him shooting? And how many hits per night and per year could I save myself by going under that screen versus through it because I'm not worried about the guy shooting? And how much does that save your body? People don't talk about these things, but that makes a big difference.
It does. It really does.
I mean, getting screened by these big giant dudes hurts.
And also people say, well, they drive the lane better now. Well, they do, one, because they're more athletic, and two, the rules have changed to make sure that a Rick Mahorn doesn't just annihilate someone when he tries to drive through the lane.
Yes, that's the bigger
changes they've made to the game for the better.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily think the guys are more athletic or not, but I totally agree with that last point. And I also think it's an extension of the spacing thing we've been discussing for the last 10 minutes. It's easier to drive one-on-one in space when everyone's spread out than if things are more congested. It's just common sense. As someone who played as a slashing guard for a lot of years at, albeit lower levels, but I hated when I didn't have shooters on my team because it made my job, my style of play much harder to execute. It's just common sense. And it's obvious. I mean, so you look at someone like Curry is a good example. Another good example of this was Tony Parker. And Curry's a better example. His driving game is solid. It's not spectacular, but it's solid, and it looks spectacular at times because of how much you have to overcommit to his shooting. It opens up so much space, and it allows him to get a lot of points at the rim. Tony Parker's threat of a floater, a mid-range floater, led him to a lot of points at the rim. He led the NBA in points at the rim for a number of years in the mid-2000s because guys were overextending, and he was able to get that extra step and get that much closer to the rim and finish. Spacing matters a lot. It's the whole name of the game in offensive basketball.
Yes.
So there we go. All right. Well, we got a guest coming up next. We got Randy Zellea of Back Sports Page. We're going to do a little detour we'll talk a little Knicks, I'm sure, but we'll probably also touch on a little recap of the Giants and Jets drafts. And then we got more in the way of baseball. We're making some predictions, crazy predictions. That's going to be fun. I got a couple. I'm sure you do. Back after this. Rich Anselmo is back with us. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, Call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, and Randy Zellea is joining us right now from Back Sports Page. We're going to talk a little Knicks basketball. What's up, Randy? There we go. What's up, Randy? Now we got you. I have to hit the unmute button. Welcome into the program, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again. Really appreciate it. The playoffs are just so much fun.
They really are. Now, I talked about this early in the show, and I want to get your take on it. I've said all season long, I think Brunson, the Knicks fans have it wrong. Knicks fans say Brunson's the difference on the team and Randall is expendable. No, Randall's not the best player. Brunson's not the best player. They are a tandem, and they absolutely need both guys, not only healthy, but playing really good to win this series. I mean, the absence of Randall was very precipitous to me in yesterday's loss to Miami.
I think so too, because you know what? RJ Barrett played very, very well yesterday at points. But my big thing was that they had long droughts of no points on the board. Yep. And I think part of that is the shot selection, but also obviously Miami's defense. Miami has played excellent defense so far in this playoffs, but you just need to have the threat. And they knew where the points were going to be coming from. They knew they had to own in on RJ, and they knew that Jalen was going to be taking shots also. You need to be able to have multiple threats on the court. And I'm sorry, Obi Toppin has been a very nice player, and you see the potential, but this is a big spot for him. And sometimes you're just not ready for that spot.
Yeah, no, I agree on Toppin. I think Toppin is just a good, solid rotational guy. I don't see him as having much of a ceiling. One guy that I'm very disappointed in, Randy, who's basically a non-factor, he's barely in the rotation anymore, is a guy that averaged 15 points a game during the regular season, and that's Emmanuel Quickly. He's done nothing this whole playoffs. I think he's played 6 games, averaged 9 points. He's been basically a zero.
I think there's a little bit to do with the inexperience factor, obviously. But then again, a lot of these, the Knicks have a very young group of guys that they play in and out of the lineup. So I think that it's the inexperience for him. I think it's maybe the moment is just too big. Playing in the regular season against the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magics of the world and the Charlotte Hornets compared to a 7-game series where there's tape on you. I think there's a little bit of a different feel when a team has tape on you and they can study what you do. It's not easy.
Yeah, that's very true.
Easy. So I think Quickly is going to get it in time. But, right now he struggled yesterday. There was no ifs, ands, buts about it. He struggled yesterday. I think Zellea, again, has to do with Miami's defense. And listen, we can come out here and say, well, the Knicks didn't do this, Knicks didn't do that. Let's talk about what Miami did.
Yep.
Okay? Miami had to ride that Jimmy Butler train until he got hurt. And I think everybody in Miami gasped when he hurt his ankle yesterday.
Yes.
And he stayed out there. He toughened it out. And everybody else on that Miami team stepped up. And they played. And they came into New York and they did what they had to do. They won game one. Usually when you play the first two games on the road, you're hoping for a split, and then you got to go home defend home court.
Yep.
So now it could be if they come home up 2-0. Oh man, I don't like New York State.
No, Knicks, no question. Game 2 is a must win for them. One thing I'll say about the Heat is at some point, maybe it's against the Knicks, maybe it's in the next round if they advance. At some point, I do believe the loss of Tyler Hero to that broken hand is going to become a relevant storyline. It hasn't been to this point, which is a credit to Butler becoming Superman and Kyle Lowry having a couple of big games. But I think at some point, Randy, the loss of Hero is going to really matter because, I mean, this is a guy that averaged 20 points a game. That's not nothing.
No, I think you're right. I think it can come back. But I also think it shows you how deep Miami's bench was. Tyler Hero goes out. Duncan Robinson has played very, very well. Kevin Love started yesterday. He played very well at certain stretches. Sometimes it's not about trying to replace one guy and one guy's stats. It's people coming in, different guys being able to step up and show their depth. Look, Miami was built to try to win a championship last year and made the Eastern Conference Finals. They had a subpar regular season. But let's not forget what this team has. They were in the finals a few years back while they were in the bubble. And last year they made the conference finals. For anyone who thought this was going to be a pushover series, I think they have to remember what this team has done over the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know that I certainly didn't think this is going to be a pushover. I don't know that many people did. I think I favored the Knicks, and I think I still do. But I'll tell you this. Going back to the Knicks' perspective on this for a second, you look at their struggles offensively. They won the last series against Cleveland, averaging under 100 points a game in 2023. That would be like the equivalent of winning a game like 61-58 back in 1994.
Yeah, well, the funny thing too with the Knicks, and there's one guy who I saw was on the bench. That was really good actually. There's one guy who was sitting on the bench yesterday who I saw when they were going through that offensive drought, and I didn't understand why he was on the bench, but I thought yesterday would have been a good time to put Derrick Rose in. I know he's been seldomly used, but he's a guy who can create for himself offensively.
Yep.
You can put him in the backcourt with Brunson and have a different type of lineup. And I was a little surprised that Thibodeau didn't go that route.
Yeah.
Because I just felt you needed to have another guy who's going to keep Miami on their toes.
I completely agree with you. They need someone else that can put the pressure on the defense a little bit. If Randall's not going to be there, I'll say this: if Randall doesn't come back healthy and productive, I don't think the Knicks can win this series. I don't think they have enough without him. I really don't.
I also don't want them to rush Randall back when he's not ready. So all of a sudden you start seeing him struggling out there. Sometimes, if he wants to reenact Willis Reed walking out of the tunnel hurt, all right. Let's see if that motivates the team. And this is also a different NBA than it was all the way back then. But look, at the end of the day, the Knicks, how do I say this nicely? Like, you and I both picked the Knicks to beat the Cavs in the first round anyway.
Yes.
But I almost feel like they're playing with house money right now.
I kind of feel that way about both teams, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Miami definitely, because, again, the way they gave us no real expectation that they were going to be a playoff contender, not even a championship, a playoff contender during the year this year with the way they struggled and the way they played and the way their guys were in and out of the lineup and the injuries. So, yeah, in some way that Miami is playing with house money from what we saw during the regular season. What they had going into the regular season was that they thought they were going to be competing for the Eastern Conference Championship again, like they were last year.
Right.
Only missing P.J. Tucker, and then P.J. Tucker opts out of his deal and ends up going to Philadelphia. which you guys can see tonight against the Boston Celtics. I believe that's TNT. Or it's on ESPN, one of the two.
Yeah, no, it's TNT.
So it's on TNT tonight. So I think that the expectation levels for both teams were not extremely high, but the Knicks are really playing with house money because there were people who were not even picking the Knicks to go to the playoffs this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, and look, that made a lot of sense early in the year. Want to move over real quick to the Western Conference just for a quick second. I gotta tell you, I think Denver's really, really good. There's guys who have stepped up in roles that I thought all year this team didn't have enough of, and now I believe they do. I've watched Bruce Brown and also Aaron Gordon really take on that perimeter defense role. I've watched Michael Porter Jr. become a much more disciplined third option scorer in his role. And now Jamal Murray is just, let's just call him what it is. He's one of the 4 or 5 best guards in the NBA, ones in the NBA. The guy's a monster. It looked like Chris Paul had no business being anywhere near defending him, let alone Devin Booker. Neither one could do anything with them. I got to tell you, Randy, Denver looks complete. They look healthy. They look together. They look like the best team in the West, as they were during the regular year. I love what I saw from Denver in Game 1.
And I also want to point out that the Boston Celtics gave a blueprint on how to play Kevin Garnett last year. Not Kevin Garnett, sorry, Kevin Durant last year. I apologize. The Celtics showed a blueprint on how to do it. Stay in his face, make him work to get the ball, double him at times. And look, you and I said this on the last show that I was on. Denver is the most complete team in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
From position to position, they have guys, and they have guys who understand what their roles are, and they've been doing it all year round. Okay, you have the Warriors right now that have gotten hot and they got healthy, and they just took out a very good Sacramento, a very inexperienced but good Sacramento Kings team.
Yes.
You have the Lakers who took out that young Memphis Grizzlies team that looks like they're going to be, something's going to happen in Memphis during this offseason. I don't know what it's going to be, but something's going to happen. Yep. And the Lakers have a more complete team. The Lakers are not your average 17 right now. So now you have the 6-7 matchup, and you have the 6-7 matchup on the Western Conference with the Warriors and the Lakers. I think that Denver is heads and toes better than Phoenix.
Yes.
They're Phoenix's children playing with men right now. I also think that both the Lakers and the Warriors are going to have their own issues with the Nuggets in the next round, whichever one takes them. Because I think the Phoenix Suns are playing a 5 to 6 game series with Denver.
Yeah. I agree. I really do. Yeah. I would be surprised if it went much more than 5. I just think Denver's so much better. I heard after you talk about that Lakers Grizzlies series, one thing that I thought was kind of funny from that series was what's his name? The guard there getting fined $25,000, Brooks, for not talking to the media when all he was doing was talking. That's all he did the whole series was talk. Now he doesn't want to talk. Sometimes you just gotta eat the crow that you put on your own plate and didn't cook. Sometimes you gotta take it like a man. I lost some respect for this guy through this, Randy. I really did. I mean, I don't care that you talk trash. I think it's actually good for the game. But then when you go and get your butt kicked, own it. And he just wanted to blame the media. He wanted to blame this. He wanted to blame that. And it's like, dude, you went out there and talked junk about one of the 5 greatest players in NBA history and predictably got your butt kicked. And now you want to say it was someone else's fault? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. It's, what, again, it's always easier to talk when we have to be able to back it up. And look, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and that crew that they have, they weren't going to start going into the media and start talking nonsense. They're going to let their game do what they have to do. Look, LeBron is a superstar in this league. He doesn't need to go back and forth with the media, in the media with Dylan Brooks. He's just going to outplay him. And that's what they did.
Yep.
You got to give the Lakers credit. It's a totally different animal. Do I think they can beat the Warriors? Absolutely. Will they beat the Warriors? That's another Can they beat the Warriors? Absolutely.
It's gonna be a good series, and it's gonna be great for the NBA. You talk about a ratings draw. I mean, that's as good as it gets right there. I mean, this second round matchup is probably the best matchup you can have in the entire Western Conference. As far as
it's definitely gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Hey, good luck with that continued documentary with the Nets. That's gonna be really cool. And whatever comes of that, keep us posted, all right?
You got it, brother. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Anytime. That's Randy Zellea, Back Sports Page. Lot to break down there, Rich. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. That's. I was the one saying to you, I think, that Miami series was going to go the distance.
With the Knicks, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though you said, well, Miami caught lightning in a bottle. That team is very well coached.
No, they're a good, solid team. I think that I thought in the first round with the Knicks, and turns out I was wrong here. I thought the Knicks and Cavs series was going to be a pretty even matchup. The Knicks turned out to really convincingly beat them. I think the Knicks
did too.
I think the Knicks and Heat is also a very comparable matchup. If Randall's there, the Knicks are not capable of winning anything without Randall right now. I don't think they were lucky to beat a Cleveland team that really disappointed me. I mean, you shouldn't be winning playoff series averaging under 100 points a game in today's NBA. The fact that they pulled that off, they're very fortunate to have done that. Albeit convincingly too.
Well, they played down to the level of what the Cavs were playing at.
Right.
And knew they could win like that. And I think they were terribly outcoached, Cleveland.
Oh, they were. There's no question about it.
And don't forget about the person on the sideline in Miami.
Yes. Well,
he knows what he's doing. And if you think about it, it was a three-headed monster that replaced Tyler Hero in different facets. Gabe Vincent had another good game starting instead of off the bench. Duncan Robinson's got his mojo back. And Kevin Love was really good.
Yeah. And that's something else I have to take issue with Cleveland on. He was playing so great for them in the first half of the year. He was a 6th man of the year candidate, and they just abandoned him like a rotted bag of potatoes. Like
they did. And
why?
look what their bench was after that.
He was so good. Like it just didn't make any sense.
He was. But he went into a little shooting slump, which shooters do.
They do. It happens.
And they lost patience.
Yeah, really, really sick. Really sick. Yeah, so anyway, lot still to get to. We're going to do some baseball next. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Crazy predictions. Also, a little quick recap. Local baseball, how the Renegades are doing. That's next. The Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, and this is Rich's segment. Predictions.
It's our segment, Gary.
It's ours, but it was your idea. I want to give you the credit.
Okay, I guess I'll start then.
Yeah, I gotta give you the credit. So let's do some baseball predictions after 1 month.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are the first MLB team to win 20 games.
Yes.
They're going to the World Series, Gary.
You know what?
Admit it, own up to it, and enjoy the ride.
I am so happy you went there to start with, because that was my first one too. The Pittsburgh Pirates will miss the playoffs. So I'll go in the exact opposite direction.
You know I can't.
Oh, that's so funny.
I have another one. This was actually said by someone in the media. Juan Soto experiment in San Diego has to be stopped. He looks awful. He never should have left DC.
Yes, because playing baseball in Washington, D.C. is the placenta of excellence. Please. What a stupid thing to say. Who said that? What an
Somebody
idiot.
on ESPN.
Oh, of course. Well, we should have guessed. What a moron.
I don't see him doing that badly in San Diego.
Yeah, that's just a dumb thing to say.
Throw one at me.
All right. The New York Yankees will rebuild in the offseason after missing the playoffs and finishing under 500 this year.
I know Judge is out, but and they don't have Stanton either. But what deranged New York Yankee fan came up with that?
That would be me.
Okay.
Well, let me
Were you channeling a deranged Yankee fan?
I might be, but let me give you a couple of numbers here. I didn't throw this out blindly. So right now, a month into the season, the Yankees are as follows: 23rd in runs scored, 27th in hits, 26th in on-base percentage, 22nd in slugging, 15th in middle of the pack in strikeouts, and 19th in walks. And then here's the kicker. You know, Garrett Cole's having the best year of his career, right? When you take Garrett Cole out of their starting rotation, when you put him aside, the rest of their staff, 4 guys have started 5 or more games. So they've only had 5 guys start games this year so far. They have a cumulative ERA, aside from Cole, of 5.71. This is a bad team right now, Rich. And like with those numbers, so Judge comes back. I've been saying for a year and a half, walk him. Who am I afraid of? With those numbers, nobody.
It's not like the Yankees are going to embrace new baseball and start stealing bases or anything.
No, get out of here. I didn't even think to look that one up. They're probably 31st in that one. They're behind a AAA team.
I'll tell you what, the Pirates are a top 10 team in that.
Well, it makes sense that, certain teams would decide to do things a little different and, get some results from it. It's good to see. But no,
if you get people on base and they move, it makes everybody else's job easier. And stolen bases have been neglected far too long.
Oh, I totally agree. All right, I'll give you one more. The New York Mets will find a way to win the NL this year with the Dodgers falling off the face of the earth.
Oh, you took mine. I like it. I like it.
Sorry.
I like it. And I think we both secretly hope that happens.
Oh, I certainly do. By the way, not that this is a prediction of any kind, but did you see that Steve Cohen is talking about putting up an $800 million retractable roof on Citi Field?
Hey, why not? I'm tired of the rainouts.
I agree. And I've always said that, especially in like northern cities. Why wouldn't you have a roof?
Right. Right. It only makes sense. I have one more for you before we end this. The rain in Seattle in this summer will be so bad that the MLB will have to cancel the All-Star game and the activities.
Gonna rain on their parade, huh? Oh, that's terrible.
And and a lot of people make that misconception. You got a better chance of getting rain in Florida than you do in Seattle. Seattle in the summer does not get much rain at all.
Yeah,
And I know, I've been there.
it rains Starbucks coffee instead.
That's one reason why I love that city.
Starbucks coffee is pretty good.
It is.
I can't lie.
I'll tell you what, though, the people selling coffee on the street in Seattle, the coffee carts have some of the best coffee I ever had in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You know who I felt that way about in New York City? The usually it was Spanish women selling like sliced mangoes, like just in the bag, like just they were always like ripe and fresh. And I mean, I'll pay an extra $1 or even $2 to have a mango cut for me. You know how hard it is to cut a mango? What a pain in the neck.
Yes.
That's worth $5 by itself. Just having someone else do that mess.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
it's the worst. That pit. God's never made a mistake, but you can question what he was thinking about with that pit there, right? You have to wonder. Come on,
The
God.
one in avocados are no prize either.
Yeah, but at least you can kind of cut around and create the little like slices, and avocados are more giving.
Avocados have like a shelf life to cut well at like 10 seconds in their life. They're either too hard or too soft. And
It's so true.
if you don't get that 10-second window, you're done.
It's so true. Yeah, it's a fact. They go from baseballs to friggin' mud puddles in 10 seconds, and in between they're perfect.
Right.
It's so true. I hate that about avocados. How do restaurants get that right so consistently?
I don't know, because I sure mess it up at home.
I don't buy them anymore because of that. I love avocado, but I just can't get it right.
Oh, I know.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, well, we got a couple minutes left. You want to finish up with a little news we can use?
Yes. One of the reasons I love this time of year is the potential for game sevens in sports.
Yes.
We had 3 yesterday. One turned out to be a dud, the second half anyway.
Yes, Warriors game.
Warriors showed their playoff experience and championship pedigree. And the Kings showed that, wow, our best dude's got a broken finger.
Yes.
The 2 that happened in the NHL were amazing.
Well, the Kraken advanced.
Yes. Surprised you know that. I like it.
I saw your post about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciated getting that right more than you know.
I appreciate it.
The Boston Bruins, who set a record for the most wins, won the President's Trophy, got beat. Congratulations. You won 65 games in the regular season. You had a great year. See ya.
Didn't
Florida beat them in overtime in game 7 after trailing the series 3-1.
Didn't something like this happen a few years ago with Tampa Bay also? Didn't they have like a huge regular season and lose in the first round?
Lost in the first round to Columbus.
They got swept, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is the goalie that did that, Sergei Bobrovsky, played game 7 yesterday for Florida.
Oh, that's so funny.
The Kraken beat Colorado 2-1. Second-year expansion team. You get your first game, it's fun. You get your first win, cool. You beat the defending champions. It's never been done before by an expansion team or by any team that's made their first playoff appearance. Congrats to both. Those are wonderful. I love game 7s in everything.
No, that is really cool. I mean, game 7s are awesome. They really are. I mean, they're the pinnacle of sports suspense.
Right.
They really are.
And we both said the same thing yesterday watching the watching the Warriors game. It was cool in the first half, but man, it was a letdown that it wasn't a better
What a disaster.
second half.
I have to tell you something. I've always, and I know you have too, I've always been a big fan of Domas Sabonis's game. He did not look good in this series, even in games when he had decent stat lines or this
He
whole
had a
playoffs.
decent stat line yesterday.
I never noticed him. Like, he never was like, wow, Sabonis is making an impact in this game. I have to tell you, I felt that more with Trey Lyles at times in this series than I did at any point with Sabonis.
Yes. Well, and this is going to be a big thing in Sabonis's career. This is going to be a telling part. We've had other good players do the same thing their first time in the playoffs.
Yes.
How do you bounce back?
Right.
If Sabonis comes out next year and plays well in the playoffs, good. And I hope he does.
I hope so too. Because I like Sabonis, but
I do too. But that's going to tell a lot because he did not look right.
No, he didn't look right. He didn't make the impact he normally makes.
And I'm sure getting belted in the eye, which still looks awful.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't help you.
No, it doesn't improve things. But he was not playing his best basketball before that too. Like he really just wasn't he didn't have an impressive playoff.
No, not at all.
He didn't. So I can't believe this was a first round series though.
I know. Well, that's because the Warriors just pissed away the regular season.
Yeah, and just such a good series. You don't often get series of this caliber in the first round.
Right.
Quick little news you can use on my end. The Hudson Valley Renegades, they had a couple of games rained out over the weekend, but in case you're keeping track, they are in the midst of a 5-game or 6-game road trip against Greenville in South Carolina before they come home tomorrow, as a matter of fact. They ended up winning, looks like 2 of these games. Actually, no, 4 games out of the 6. They had a few that were affected by weather. The 27th was postponed, made up on the 28th, which the Renegades won. And they had yesterday's game postponed. Oh no, I'm sorry. They lost the game that was postponed. There it is. There, yeah. So they played a doubleheader on the 28th, won the regularly scheduled game, and lost the makeup game. So overall, against Greenville, they won 4 and lost 2. And now they come home for a series against Wilmington. We'll have Joe Vasile, their play-by-play man, on later in the week in his normal slot on Thursday to discuss that. But for those that are Renegades fans, they're back in action tomorrow at what is now Hudson Heritage Financial Field. Used to be Dutchess Stadium, or the Dutch for short, but now it is Heritage Financial Field. And you can stop by and check them out. 6:05 first pitch on Tuesday against Wilmington.
Minor league baseball is always so worth it. And talking about Hudson Valley, they made a top 10 on ESPN this week with a great play against Greenville.
They did. No kidding.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I watch far too much television.
It certainly sounds like it. That's great. Good stuff. Well, got one more for the road?
The MLB implements an unusual rule to avoid pitch clock violations. Teoscar Hernandez played 6 years with the Blue Jays. He's now with Seattle. He came up to the plate with 8 seconds left on the pitch clock. He wasn't called for a violation because the fans gave him an ovation. Blue Jays manager John Schneider said after the game that teams can submit a request to MLB 24 hours in advance if they know a player is going to potentially receive an ovation. Good, because what happened to Cody Bellinger was ridiculous.
Yes. I think that's reasonable.
Kudos to MLB for doing something about it proactively.
No, that's good stuff. It really is. And you knew going in with these type of wholesale rule changes, there was going to be some iteration and some modification. I mean, that's just anyone who didn't think that was going to be the case, wasn't paying attention. But overall, I've been, and I know you have, happy with the rule changes. It's made the game much more interesting.
Yes, it has. I'm loving it again. It's so much fun.
It makes a big difference. It really does. Well, hey, I love the fact that we got to spend an hour here with you back. So hopefully we can do this more.
I think we should do it tomorrow.
I will be here. Hour 2 again.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you then. So,
sounds good.
All righty. Well, that's the Gary Ayd Show, and we will be back tomorrow. Rich in hour 2, Solo hour 1. We'll see you then. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.